Welcome to Swarf and Chips. We've got a brilliant show lined up for you today. Paul O'Donnell from the MTA will be giving us an exclusive announcement regarding MACH. Colin has got a surprise for us, and as you can tell, it's comic relief, and I'm joined by these pair. Hello.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hello. As you can tell, all of the other staff members of MTD have got their noses on. And they're very excited about it. So I've got ones for you, but there's a reason.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so yours is first, Joe, because you like food and everyone talks about food.
Is it like a medal if you've got to put it on?
Yes, there you go. It's a little chef.
Oh, yeah. Little chef. Trademark.
And then, Paul, yours is a Viking because your jokes are so bad. They're from the Viking ages. Dum, 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 dum.
Oh, don't fit. Oh, there you go.
So you can celebrate now.
Doesn't fit. You need to give it the whiskey.
Let's get rid of these. Yeah. Okay, let's kickstart the show with comments.
Great programme, great camaraderie, nothing else like it, really informative, and I'm always discovering new products and new services on your platform.
And you said to me earlier, you also dig through the resources of our archives to find new technologies and what's happening in the industry, and they're of great use to you as well, I believe.
Yes, there is, yeah. I mean, we found a speed increase the other week. It was just something that, I wasn't thinking of until I discovered it on that website, and, you constantly look through and discover new things all the time.
I love Swarf and Chips on a Friday, Paul. And I want to tell you that we love watching it, and we produce hard materials, we cut hard materials, and we mainly work for the oil and gas sector.
And the company name?
Hardy Precision Engineering Limited.
And where are you based, Tony?
We are based in Heston, Middlesex.
And these Doosan machines are the machines that are making these parts?
They're making parts day in, day out.
Watch it every Friday, it's fantastic, and we're looking forward to joining you guys in the studio in the coming weeks.
Always great reviews on Swarf and Chips, and the show, it's getting bigger and bigger, isn't it?
The view rate is phenomenal. I genuinely cannot believe where this show has come in 6 months. Incredible.
I can. It's a good show.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Don't forget, by the way, to subscribe, and if you've got any comments, please do send them in. Now, let's get on with videos. You know the rules, the buzzer will start, you've got 1 minute, and it starts after I've asked the first question. So, first question, Taegutec. We've got some Rhino inserts, Rhino Rush inserts, and we're talking about smaller depths of cut, is that right?
Yeah, it's more innovation from Taegutec. They've highlighted an area where if you're not using a 3mm depth of cut, why buy an expensive carbide insert when you're not utilising the edge length of the insert? So saying, if you're not taking more than a 3mm depth of cut, don't pay for it, essentially. So there's a big cost saving, there's no loss on productivity, and yeah, it's a natural resource. Carbide will eventually run out if we don't look after it, so Taegutec have been sensible and released this range.
And just one more question as well, what materials are they aimed towards?
Oh, vast. Pretty much everything you get in their standard range. So anything from an aluminium to a heat-resistant alloy to a steel or tool steel.
Are you talking 6mm, so 3mm aside, essentially, which is, they say 70% of companies are cutting less than that. So it would stand to reason why they've developed this product.
Yeah, it's common sense, really. It's a good idea. And
it would be popular. And you also mentioned the big cost saving, 38% less money as well. So that's not a small amount, is it?
No, it's not. No, absolutely not.
I like these videos you did with Taegutec here as well. Very informative, very educational, great way to get across benefits of cutting tools.
Stop cheating.
And great questions.
Okay, thank you. Right, yeah, because you made them. Right, okay. So next you went to Lentus Composites and you discussed the SAHOS 5-metre machine. Can you sell it to me?
Yeah, a cracking machine this. This is a 5-metre bridge mill. The table's fixed, the bridge moves up and down the working area. The advantage of this is you've got such a big working envelope, you could put 1 component on, 2 or 3 components on, so you can fill the bed, and you've also got, the novel idea is the fact you've got the curtains either side, so the working envelope is always condensed in that area, protected in that area.
So what other materials can you put on there?
The great thing is that the composite market is big, but also companies are looking at supplying machines where you can do more than composite materials, and that's what this can do. It can cut aluminium, high-speed machine, 24,000 RPM, 5-axis capability, full 5-axis simultaneous machining. This company was only founded a couple of years ago, and already they've got machine shops full of machine tools, as well as a dedicated area for this dynamic machine from SAHOS.
And Rupert is a great subject, wasn't he?
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I used to know Rupert from Martin Baker Aircraft, which was even better really than I met him. But yeah, it's a brilliant installation, very high-speed, dynamic machining.
Okay, next question. Mark went to the VERO software event, and I know they're expanding that a little bit more into the mould and die industry. So what is it they've achieved so far?
Well, VERO, like you say, they're not just in the mould and die, they're in pretty much every sector. But they're just trying to get a stranglehold in that arena. And this event was about collaboration. They're saying it's no longer acceptable just to supply a dongle to a customer. They want a lot more than that. So they're working with machine tool builders, they're working with cutting tool partners to try and bring this solution together. So not just selling a product off the shelf. Come and see us and we'll teach you some strategies.
And it was also interesting to see how many engineers actually turned up to this event that are genuinely interested in what savings they can make by using things like their waveform strategy, getting better at metal removal rates, because that really is what is key when you're a machinist or when you're a machining company. You want to make parts as fast as you can. And things like the VERO software and CAD-CAM, with machines collected with machine tools and the right tooling strategies, is where you get those savings.
They call it a collaboration hub. What's there?
Unlucky, sorry.
Oh, come on.
As with a lot of these events, if we're allowed to cheat, they like to bring together, you know, tooling methods, strategies, machine tools, all the latest technology to one place to get you the ultimate machining solution.
Okay, I'll count that as an extra question.
You cheated this time.
If I cheat, it's okay.
Move on quick.
Okay, sorry. All right. Lumex, you went to Matsura. This is an awesome, I might give you a little bit longer actually because the last one was shorter. The Lumex machine, additive manufacturing, removal, your machining. And what I found amazing about this is the fact that not only are you creating the part, but you're machining areas that you wouldn't be able to machine if you were just machining a part, if that makes any sense.
Might as well tear up my bit of paper.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on.
Makes sense.
Additive and subtractive. I know Joe knows a lot about this, and I know I've explored a lot of this in recent time because it is quite a novel subject. The Lumex machine was actually Matsura one of the first to develop the additive subtractive type machine back in 1999. That's almost
Incredible,
20 years. This machine is, you're dead right, you will add layers of material, which will be steels, there'll be cobalt steels, stainless steels, titaniums, and you'll machine them. So you'll basically add a few microns, and then you'll machine a few microns, or you'll add more than that and then machine a few microns, so you're building up the part by layer.
Yeah, what this won't do, you're not going to get an existing component and this make it better or anything. What you need to do is re-engineer a component. So this comes into its own where you machine features, you print features you can't machine. That's where this really wins. You're not going to get a component you've been making for 20 years and put it on there and be more competitive.
No, but whereas before you might have had an injection mould where it was made up of 14 or 15 parts to put it together, now you can make it as one on this type of machine.
Yeah. And the other thing is that the cool holes on the die.
Keep going if you want
Okay,
to.
the coil holes on a die, on an injection mould tool, quite often they can't get to the surface because quite evidently you can't drill around holes and things.
Yeah.
But if you print it, you can do what you like.
Yeah, and it's a high-speed machine, linear motors, all the bells and whistles, so the machining element is very accurate as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so make sure if you're watching, watch the video, basically. Lumex.
It's typical
machine.
Matsura.
Okay, so next up is SW's BA322 twin spindle HMC. They say they're like specialists in or leading in the automotive industry. Why is this machine so good for that?
Well, in the automotive sector, it's very price driven. Cheap components, get the price down. And basically for the floor space of one traditional machine, you're getting 2 or maybe even 4 spindles. It's very competitive. It's cheaper electric because you've only got one machine. And you're not only just getting the advantage, in this case, of 2 spindles, it's actually a linear machine, it's a fast machine anyway. So it just get everything you'd expect from an SW machine.
And the benefit of the linear motor drive is it's very, very fast, which is what you want when you want productivity. But they also do a ball screw machine as well for if you're doing different types of components where you don't need maybe the same kind of speed. I find interesting with this, what happens if you have a smash up on one side? And I'm assuming there's something in there, a fail-safe, that stops the whole process.
Sure to be, isn't there?
Yeah. But 2 parts or 4 parts or even more. It's all about productivity and efficiency. And I believe Jason was saying that these are very economical machines as well from pound.
They were saying the costs are going down, but the efficiency is going up.
Yeah, he told me off camera, actually. He should have said it in the interview, but off camera, when they quote it, they give you a part price, and they're cheaper on 85% of the time.
And they've got over 100 machines in the UK market.
Well over 100, yeah.
Well over 100.
It's 1 minute. You're allowed 1 minute, right? Okay. So Kerf, Waterjet cutting technology. It's a bit new to us. Can you kind of explain the concept and what they do?
I was really intrigued to go here. We've all watched this video, but this is a 2-head Waterjet machine. Basically, he's machining 2 parts at once. The idea here was that Corey was buying a lot of the components in. He was struggling to get the accuracy on the parts that he needed. He was struggling to get the logistics delivery that he needed, and he essentially bought one of these machines to cut these components. He gets great accuracy. He's got 2 heads on here, so he's getting 2 parts at once. And this essentially is high pressure water with a granular formula which cuts the material.
Darn it.
It's incredible, isn't it? Incredible.
And he uses the remnant of the plate here to actually make other parts. So he's kind of a bit like a puzzle, really. He's making lots of parts out of the plate. Improved his business no end, and his efficiency, his control over the supply of these parts to his customer.
And like you say, it's got 2 heads, a bit like the SW we just mentioned. It's it's efficient.
Yeah, and whatever size of I mean, these machines go up in size. They can be 2 or 3 meters, 5 meters, however big you want.
And I know we're out of time, but it interests me how he used to use a laser. Well, he didn't. His subcontractor used a laser, but he had issues, so he went to water.
Okay.
Kerf Developments in the UK.
Yeah.
Sorry, I am going to cheat now, but I think the
Twice
video
today.
twice. But I think people are going to want to know, Waterjet, it's water, is it limited to certain materials?
Before I went to this installation, the answer to that is I don't know. But what I can tell you is these guys are cutting steels, Tufnels, aluminium, across the board. So the answer there is the proof is in what he's making.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Joe, you went to CG Tech. Now, this is the very cut force. It was quite technical, so could you just explain in simple terms exactly what we were talking about?
Well, CG Tech, they're known for anti-collision software, so you prove out a process before you actually make the component. But essentially, this is more process optimization. So you might enter the material. What you enter the material group, and there's some clever analytics in there, and it calculates cutting strategies and feeds and speeds, basically.
And it's for harder materials. So if you're machining hard materials, what you don't want is lots of tool breakages. Not only costs you more money, it costs you time, but they're saying that the software will actually predict what is the best feed rate to run the machine at for that material and the tooling that you've got.
And Scott, he hasn't been there long, but he's a good ambassador for that brand, and he said, I don't know if he's in the interview off camera, he said he's worked for many companies, but it's one of the best innovations he's seen in the software divisions.
Can I ask, just for the cost savings and anything, is it worth the investment?
Depends what you're doing. Depends what you're machining. If you're machining the harder materials, you want to get the most effective machining results at the highest speeds, then that's software worth looking at. But they are known for collision software as well.
Okay, so next up, I love this video. Tos Hulin, you went to the Czech Republic. I know you got stuck in a machine that we saw last week, but I might even give you a bit longer than a minute on this one because this is a brilliant video. I highly recommend someone watching this.
2 days we were there. We did a full factory tour. We looked at everything from the manufacturing process right the way through to the machines being assembled, painted, where they were shipped. The machines are made here. You can see the castings are ground.
Where's your lollipop stick? Come on, children.
Once the cast, come on, we haven't got much time here. Once the castings are ground, they then go onto a machine and then they're assembled. But what is really great about this as well is they're machining the castings on their own machines. The proof is in their confidence in what they are making up by making it with those machines. Seeing the machines go together is incredible. Very heavy duty. Then we see the 32mm cutting demonstration, which you saw. Then they deassemble all the machines and then they're ready to be shipped. It's an incredible process. Great to go to a factory. The only way you can do stuff like this is by going there.
Absolutely. Who sells that product?
That's Matsura in the UK, Matsura. We went with Roger, the managing director from Matsura, had a really great 2 days there, learned a load about those machines. As you say, worth a watch.
Did you bring the vest back?
And the stick.
And did you bring the Swarf back?
No, we're getting it sent in the post.
And the lollipops. I will say you've had a lot of views on that video already, so definitely worth.
It's all people thinking they're watching Bob the Builder. That's why.
You are so naughty. Okay. So, Sawn Precision, great video as well, because talking about Swarf covered in oil, and it was becoming a bit of a cost to a company, so then they contacted
Lubriserve. Nice intro. But it never ceases to amaze me how many sliding head shops don't actually spin their Swarf. They think they can put it in a bucket or a Swarf bin with holes in, and the oil drips out. Of course it does, but probably 15 to 20% of the way to that Swarf is still oil, even though you've drained it off. So they got to pay back in less than 6 months, I think.
It's an incredible saving. It reminds me of when I go to the swimming pool and put my trunks in one of those spinners and shut the lid and all the water comes out the bottom.
It's the same thing, isn't it?
It's exactly the same principle. And when you see how much water comes out the bottom of your trunks, that's because I retain it in my pockets.
You've got large shorts.
You can then see that this has a similar effect with the Swarf and the oil.
Would you fit your shorts in that?
He wears Speedos anyway.
But no, all joking aside, it's a great company as well as a star user. And it's a no-brainer, isn't it? It takes up it's less than a pallet space.
I've never seen one out and about, which is what amazes me, because the savings, you might be able to recite them. They were phenomenal. How much oil he was actually. It's like it's now taken 6 months to use a drum of oil, where it was a month or something.
Yeah, exactly right.
You guys like to
put the trunks on.
There will be an example, and we'll maybe put it on the screen, of showing the tissue and the amount of oil as well, because I thought that was really, really impressive. Okay, no time for any more questions. That's your punishment for being so mean.
You cheated this week twice. That's why it's taken
I'm
so long.
allowed to. Anyway, no time. Thanks, guys. Next up, Paul O'Donnell, who is the Head of External Affairs for the MTA, is going to join us here in the studio. Welcome to the show, Paul. And also, we're joined by Mark, who is a Viking today.
Does it make my nose look big?
No different from any other day, Mark.
That's just so rude.
Right, okay. Paul, you're from the MTA. You're the Head of External Affairs.
Yep.
May I ask, what is it that you do for everyone who's watching?
Right, well, my job is about representing the MTA and its members in the industry to people who aren't in the industry. So whether that's politicians, whether that's civil servants, whether that's other government agencies, whether it's research institutes, or whether it's just the general public through the mainstream media. That's what I do effectively.
Do you get to go to the House of Commons to listen to what industry is talking about from a manufacturing point of view?
Yeah, I mean that's a really important part of it. Whether that's having meetings with ministers, whether it's having meetings with backbench MPs or party committees and things like that. That's it's a really important part of the job.
Well, we're really excited to have you here today, because I know we've got a really big exclusive for MACH, so we're going to talk about that a little bit later, a bit under wraps. But to start off with, I want to cover budget. So you've the recent budget, how has it affected the manufacturing industry in maybe a positive or even if it's a negative way?
Well, the thing that we were most positive about the budget was the extra money that was announced for digital infrastructure. Now, people often think about digital infrastructure as being something that's to do with tech companies, your Microsofts, your Googles, or perhaps they're thinking about home broadband. Actually, it's increasingly important for manufacturing and industry. As we're sort of moving towards a much more connected sort of manufacturing environment, the Industry 4 digitalisation agenda and all of that sort of thing, manufacturing is really going to start needing a much greater level of data and of connectivity than we have hitherto. So those sorts of infrastructure investments are really quite welcome.
I see that as the future. We're all on our phones, technology is the future.
Yep.
So really, it's putting the money to where the future of manufacturing is going to be.
Sorry to interrupt, Paul, but things like Factory 2050, for instance, smart factories, that's what we're talking about here, isn't it?
It is. I was up there last week, and that's a terrific facility. And it's about connecting all sorts of different manufacturing processes and actually manufacturing businesses together, so that you can really get a sense of efficiencies and really make yourself more productive as a result.
Okay, and the next question, it's a bit of a wide question, but what's the MTA's industrial strategy? It's a big question.
Well, it's an enormous question. In January of this year, the government published an industrial strategy green paper, which is a consultation document, and that had 10 chapters, or pillars as they were called. They're covering things like research funding, skills, trade, ideas about place, i.e. about how to develop particular local areas. So what we're doing at the moment is we've got a consultation process out with members, we've got surveys out with members, we're having meetings around the country. So our technical committee have discussed this, our education development committee have discussed this, and I've spoken to a lot of members about it as well, about trying to get a sense of how government can help, where government perhaps needs to step back slightly. But there were some really interesting things in the industrial strategy. We particularly welcomed, under the research chapters, the recognition that industrial processes and manufacturing processes are something that the government should be looking to invest more in. Not just necessarily blue skies thinking, or blue sky research if you like, but actual process improvement and how do we make things better. The other thing that was particularly welcome to us was there was an explicit mention for trade shows, which we think is about the first time the British government said anything nice about trade shows for probably a decade or more.
I fully agree with you, because there's so much negativity because of cost and everything behind trade show, and there's no doubt there is a cost. But where do you get this technology? You've got LinkedIn and everything, which is brilliant, don't get me wrong. There's connections, but it's networking.
Yeah.
It's bringing people in this industry together, thousands of engineers all in one room, creating ideas, networking, discussing, and you cannot beat a trade show.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. I mean, if you take MACH, for example, we put 25,000 engineers in a room together. Astonishingly, they talk about engineering. I mean, who'd have thunk that? I was at an MTA member a couple of weeks ago who they had a chap walk onto their stand because he was familiar with one of their products, and they got talking, and they showed him their main product line actually, and as a result, he's now their distributor for Australasia, and he's selling their machinery already into the Australian market, which is massive. And that's something that only comes about from those face-to-face interactions. Yeah. It's something I think the Germans are much better at than us. I think that they understand that bringing people together at trade shows and having that sense of networking, that sense of industry is really important.
When you go to things like Hanover, EMO, for instance, I mean, I don't know how many halls they have now, 10 or 12 halls just jam-packed. It's such a walk, but our industry in the UK is very different.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is. It's just growing up in
It's a little bit deep, I know, saying this, but at the end of the day, you can't beat one-to-one, people having the same ideas or different ideas, all having the same kind of passion in one room, isn't it? And you can't beat it. We're all about technology in terms of, we can hide behind a phone call, but you can't physically beat a trade show, can you?
And I think that's especially true if you've got a show with live working machinery. Because people like to see things working. They like to understand. How does this machine work? What could this, what could this machine mean in my factory, in my plant? People like to, they like to understand the size of the heft of it. Exactly. Yeah.
It's an education, isn't it? Even if you think you know everything, you'll always learn at a trade show.
Yes. Yeah.
Talking about trade shows, I know we've still got our exclusive announcements, so do bear with us. But I'm going to go on to the next section. The apprenticeship levy.
Yep.
Now, there are skill shortages happening, so what are the MTA doing to help apprenticeships in this industry?
Well, the first thing that we do is we give grants and loans to MTA members to take on apprentices. So those are relatively smaller companies. We'll give them a £2,000 grant or a £10,000 interest-free loan to help cover the costs of that apprentice in the first year. So that's the first and foremost thing that we do. Yeah. But we also get involved in helping companies to understand the sorts of changes that are coming with the apprenticeship levy. That's a really big change that's coming in April and May of this year. So companies, what will be funded or what will be eligible for funding is going to be changing. So you can go on our website, or members can join some of our webinars that we've been doing to really get to the bottom and understand how that's going to work for them and their company.
Do you get many of your members actually taking that up from apprenticeship point of view and the cost of it?
We get a steady stream of members taking that up. Yeah, it's something that's we think is quite important, and it's a way that the MTA can contribute back into the industry. Yeah. It's certainly very much welcomed by the sorts of companies that are doing that.
We'll obviously have a lot of subcontractors who are watching the show. So how would they be able to take advantage of this offer that you have?
Well, the first thing they need to do is get in contact with their regional rep for the MTA. Those contacts are on the website, which is www.mta.org.uk. Have a conversation with them, see if membership's for them. This is it's a member benefit. It's something that we do for our members. But we're really, really keen to support more and more young people into apprenticeships, into manufacturing.
Brilliant.
So please do.
Great.
Yeah. And a challenge that I would have loved as a child, because I did D&T, I did all like my woodwork and resistant materials and everything, and I love it. I think that's probably part of why I'm here.
Show me your hands. Right, okay.
But you have this TDI challenge.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know what it is, could you please explain to us what the TDI challenge is and basically, how it helps students?
Okay, TDI Challenge is a competition for school kids. So there are 2 categories, there's 17 to 19 and 14 to 16. What we do, or what they do, is they submit coursework or projects that they've done. We have a judging process, and then we invite 12 of the best, the finalists, to a great day at MACH in Worcester. Where we run a competition for them, so they'll present their ideas. There's a panel of industry experts, but we also make sure they get a tour around that great factory there, around the technology centre, and it's a really good signpost for young people who want to have a really good career in manufacturing. It really turns them on to manufacturing. It's so inspirational seeing the quality of some of the projects that are entered for that.
And I think the key thing for that, Paul, is to make it fun, isn't it?
Yes.
Otherwise, kids will think, okay, is that sort of industry?
Make it fun, make it engaging, and make it original. And one of the things that our judges are looking for is the ability to convey that enthusiasm for what they're doing to the judges, but therefore to customers and to a market, and that's really, really, really important, because we're looking not just simply at the technical ability or whatever, but we're looking have you thought about how this would work as a business? Have you thought about whether how you would market this sort of a product? It's so inspirational to see that, and quite a few of the young people who've got to finals have actually gone on to work for MTA member companies. It's really, really good.
So good. 2 things there which I think are fabulous is in schools that I don't think people almost know enough about business. You can take business as like a GCSE or something, but to learn that I think is incredible. And I have a memory when I was younger of going around the JLR factory, and I will never ever forget it. It was so inspirational. So going to MACH and seeing everything happen from real is such a kind of gift for them as well. So I think it's brilliant.
Really, really important.
I'm quite jealous actually, because I would have loved, back in the 18th century when I went to school, I would have loved to have that opportunity to get behind a lathe and cut some metal, but these guys have got it all, haven't they?
I think it was the 17th century when you were there.
On that note,
put that back on. Right, it is time for our exclusive here on Swarf and Chips. So Paul, tell us take that off for the gossip. We need a drum roll. Right, Paul, MACH 2018, what's the gossip?
Well, we've got a couple of new things this week. Firstly, we're really delighted that Lloyd's are going to be the headline sponsors for MACH 2018. That's the 4th show in a row that they're supporting, which is great. Really, really appreciate their support. And then the other thing is that we've got an OEM lined up, which is JLR are coming to MACH 2018, which we're really, really looking forward to. So that's going to be a really, really great thing for people to see.
Yeah.
And obviously with the new halls as well, it just gives that mix, doesn't it? Some of the machine tool companies that they can, you really can sort of spread the footfall through the halls now, can't you?
I mean, the whole sort of single big open space. We think is going to work really, really well in terms of really promoting people to get right round the halls and make sure they see everything that's there. I mean, effectively, we think it's becoming a 2-day show. A real 2 days to visit show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you, sorry, with JLR, which is brilliant, and I know a lot of students will go there, and apprentices and everything. Do you know anything about what may be on their stand or any ideas?
Little bit early to say at the moment. Okay. I think certainly, yes, there's going to be a skills element, but I think there'll also be a technology element as well. I mean, some of the investment that they've been putting into their plants, particularly the one just down the road in Solihull, I mean, huge investment there. And they're really at the cutting edge of automotive technology. And I'm sure that'll be reflected on their stand.
And based on stand space, have you got space available for any companies looking to promote themselves at MACH?
There's certainly space available. I mean, we've moved to a bigger site on the other side of the NEC. Yeah, there's absolutely space available for 2018. I mean, it's a really, really great opportunity. You know, it's the biggest industrial show in the UK, and you know, we think it's a massive, massive opportunity for any company.
Great.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today, Paul.
Thank you for having us, Lindsay.
And there is your MGD mug.
Fantastic.
My nose, I can't speak properly.
Good. Keep it on. Joking. Now, as I said, Colin's got a surprise for us, so let's see what he's been up to.
This week, MTD Network have been let out of the country. AsquithButler are UK suppliers of Bray. Now, these guys are based in the Czech Republic. I've been looking at some of their machines, and this is a Braxall. As you can see, it's an absolute beast. The head itself, 55 kilowatt, spindle speed, 24,000. But, as I said, absolutely huge machine. This one has an X-axis of 20 metres, but this one will actually go up to 50 metres in the X, so it's a huge, huge machine. Anyway, something just a little bit different this week. Back to you guys in the studio.
What an impressive machine that was. So thank you, Colin. And a massive thanks to Paul O'Donnell from the MTA. Exciting news regarding MACH next year. If you want to watch any previous episodes, click on the screen here. Keep those comments coming in. We do love to hear from you. And as we always say, keep those spindles turning.